Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 7th Omnia Podcast. I'm your host, Dan S. To get things started, we'll just let everybody introduce themselves, and then we'll get right into some questions that were submitted to us. To start off, I'm Dan S. I'm pretty burnt right now, but currently swimming in the Mermaid's Domain, also known as Fossil Island underwater thieving activity.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm God Tormentor. I'm recently promoted to General of Omnia, and I'm currently working on 200 mil fishing at the pond.
I'm Mitch VVS. I'm a 1 banana in Omnia, and I'm currently going for 200 mil mining.
I'm Rockford. I am a 2 banana in Omnia, and I'm currently going for 200 mil Herblore.
Hi, I'm Sleeper. I'm a 2 banana in Omnia. I joined like 2 weeks ago, and I'm doing fishing.
Nice. Well, everybody's got some good goals, some relaxing skills, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So, without further ado, one of the biggest things that's happened to the game recently is a set of nerfs that have come into the game. Most notably to the HLC or at least the main HLC, is ZMI and swimming were both nerfed. What do you guys think about that overall? JMod's nerfing overtuned methods that were pulled. Do you think the behavior will continue? What are your general thoughts on it?
I think they're going to keep going down the line until people stop complaining about methods, which might be never, to be honest. ZMI was sort of like with good intentions, but sort of fucked it up more, to be honest.
Well, like what you can look at is like it all started because, I mean, nothing was getting nerfed very actively until the POH melee's method got nerfed a little bit beforehand, right? And that kind of like made them feel, at least from my point of view, they kind of felt obligated to nerf ZMI after nerfing the POH Slayer, because it just wasn't like justifiable to nerf one without the other, because POH melees, like nobody was going to do that shit, but they nerfed it because they viewed it as overpowered, even though they'd been letting something that was super overpowered and useful in the game for so long.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the POH melee method thing kind of was like a precedent that they took, and it was one of the things where you really can't just nerf just that if it's overpowered, when everybody's been screaming at them about how overpowered, ZMI is and everything. So I think that's where they're kind of maybe changing how they're viewing, like, nerfing things.
I think it's a step in the right direction, but at the same time, the ZMI nerf has been kind of detrimental to the time that it'll take to reach 200 mil all, and also it'll require more gold than it did previously. So in terms of game integrity and balance, definitely like an improvement, but we've also been kind of fucked over in the regard that ZMI was going to make the skill quicker than like doing astrals with runners will be.
Yeah, you can't look at ZMI as like now 200 mil all is easier, because like what ZMI being nerfed effectively did was introduce a more expensive, slower method, astrals, and a much more expensive and faster method in like lavas. That's like if you're doing runner lavas as opposed to like duo lavas. Duo lavas being like still decently expensive. I think you can do like duo lavas for like 50 or 60 GP per XP or something, but that's still like quite a bit, and it's like anything involving lavas is a pretty intense method as well, obviously.
That's like the same price as ZMI with 4 runners, right? 50 to 60 GP per XP, but it's like 110 to 120k XP an hour, and that's with a really good runner, which is definitely rather difficult to find.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anyone's going to do lavas long term anyway. Like the availability of good runners is just not going to hold up long term.
Yeah, I don't think there are going to be runners like available for enough people to do it.
Yeah, we've just got to see how people settle into Astrals, I guess. Like, I don't know what the Discord is like, but people are saying it's pretty.
I mean, I've done Astrals before in the past, and like as a skiller, like if you told me that I could do like running on 2 accounts for Astrals and make 8 mil an hour, like man, that's pretty nice. And the alt doesn't take long to make either. So I don't know. I think lavas are feasible long term. The money that you have to make is significant, but if you're dedicated to money making, it's really not like that big of a deal. I don't know. I think like lavas are feasible long term. You're just gonna have to either make friends with runners and then like you trade hours kind of meme, or you have to end up paying talented people quite a bit of money.
I think another thing, especially with lava, is not so much Astrals, but going from ZMI runners, there was a lot of people in the HLC that were doing it as an alt because it was doable. As far as a lava alt for somebody else, I feel like that's a lot more intensive. So a lot of people might not want to do that as an alt for money making.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm a pretty reclined gamer, especially nowadays. But like a lava running alt, the only person that I've seen doing it was Dan Gleesack, or I think he might have changed his name. I don't know. But he was getting like 55k at RD while doing it. I'm sure that could be improved, like as you settle into the method. But regardless, it's pretty quick, and if you don't want to be losing ticks for who you're running for, then you'll almost 100% be losing ticks on your main. At least as far as I can see it. There's very talented gamers out there, so I could be wrong, but I just don't see how you could do something like running lavas while maintaining pretty much anything on your main.
Just some of the obstacles on RD are so short. Like if you do the hop and you have to trade at the same time, it's just gonna cost you time. But that's why so many people are attracted to Astrals, I guess, because you can just click to the altar and it's like
with the Runelight plugin as well, it's like one click to the altar with the GPU plugin. But like I think the RC meta, like the change in the RC meta is a consequence of like more overpowered ults, to be honest. Because before you could never like make that much amount of money, like no matter how many accounts you were able to play. But now you can do like a Rune Dragon ult with the lance for 2 mil an hour, and you can do it with like anything and make 10 bill at least more than you could do before.
Yeah.
Like runners were like out of the question before the change in alt meta.
Yeah.
So like,
I mean,
like no point. Like the semi nerf is definitely a good thing, but like runners are still going to be meta now because people can make much more money than previously anyway.
Yeah, I think
100%.
RC's is in a worse place regardless because of it.
I think it's in a pretty interesting place. I don't know if I would like throw better or worse on it necessarily.
I enjoy watching it evolve. I think it's really interesting, actually.
Yeah. But they were very clear, like, we're nerfing ZMI because we pulled a rate. We're not going to touch other altars, and Wolf, like, specifically called out, like, and the fire altar definitely isn't going to get... I mean, they've backtracked on statements before, but I would be surprised if what we have right now doesn't stick around.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to touch the other altars as well.
I don't think they should.
Yeah, that as well, because it's not polled, so it's not like it's anything that got into the game due to like a faulty poll or something. It's always been possible. Like people just couldn't do it because it was impossible to make enough money to do it.
People have been doing like nature rune running for like other people or whatever since the beginning of the game, like laws as well. So I don't think that that's really viewed as something that needs to be worked on.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't mind it being in the game at all. It kind of echoes like whether or not alts should be allowed. Like at a certain point, people started making the point of like, we can have more interesting less hours, so like more focused on money making, playing other accounts. The alternative is, in this case, would be like solo lavas, where you're just drooling on yourself for however many hours at 75k or whatever. Or we introduce, or like the current situation where the meta is interesting, that like especially if you're doing lava running or something super cool, very intense method that also requires you to focus more during other skills in order to be able to afford it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas before it was like, oh, well, you could make all your money through Abyss RC, but do we really want is it actually better to have a 28k an hour skill or whatever that is just mind-numbingly easy?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to think about like how much more difficult the skill is now, like in terms of APM and organization and stuff. But like there comes a like if you should talk about a limit to how fast the skill should become.
Yeah. And I think where we're at right now is like pretty decent. You could say that like regardless of skill intensity or like click intensity, lavas are like pushing the limit, but like everyone involved needs to be like so sweaty in order to get those rates. And I don't know.
Because they got like 220k an hour on that one screenshot doing like a 6 hour of it.
I think it's
I
forget if it's Harry or the numbers guy in the ZMI Discord has been doing like pretty crazy. Like one did like a 6 hour or something. It's pretty nuts.
Yeah, it was 220k an hour for 1.3
It's just not reasonable though, like to assume that rate.
I mean,
because you're not going to get runners like that.
Yeah,
I'd rather
I think
not,
it was paying 9
turn
mil
into
per hour.
an EHP discussion, just because like how you view EHP is going to be different than like just talking about like the state of nerfs and everything. Plus, I'd just rather not have like a long discussion about like what should be considered EHP and what shouldn't, because that's gonna we could be here for hours talking about that specifically.
Yeah, I think the skill needs a lot more testing as well, like before an EHP rate is determined.
Yeah,
like it's so fresh at the moment. It's impossible to tell like what people are gonna settle for.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is whatever rate is going to be settled, people are just going to cheese like twice.
Yeah, some people are gonna complain no matter what.
Right. No, I mean, there's no decision to be made here that pleases everyone. That's 100% true.
Yeah.
EHP historically has always been like generally going up, and I could see that happening again in the future. But personally, it's not my fight. I'm not gonna die on that hill. But do you guys think that like they're gonna continue? Is there existing content in the game that you think will get revisited? Not like whether or not it is currently above pulled rates, because there's a decent list of that. But is anything egregious enough that you think that they're actually going to nerf?
It wouldn't surprise me if they had another look at Volcanic, to be honest. But I don't think they'll do anything about it.
That would surprise me, just because they seem to like that people are doing it, and any kind of nerf could just potentially get rid of it. That community already took a hit when they made Volcanic Ash easier to get for Ironman, because it used to be Ironman did that method for Ash, and now like they just mine that shit themselves instead and do 3-tick 4G or the sandstone stuff for crafting.
Yeah, like I don't know. They've been saying I've got like a discussion going about certain stuff that they like want to talk about should get nerfed or not, but I don't think we know like what actually is on that list yet.
I'm hoping for a Catacombs nerf, but we'll see.
Catacombs would definitely shake things up, but
it
would shock me if it actually happened.
Yeah, I know Jagex don't really care how long something's been out for them to nerf it, but Catacombs are like a time frame where people would be seriously pissed if they touched it now.
I think it's more like the casual just absolutely loves the Catacombs. Like it just seems like something that everyone, like a regular player seems to really enjoy, and I just don't see them nerfing that like they did swimming, which 7 people in the game have ever done, and ZMI, which was like something almost exclusively for like the top level of player.
Yeah, but there's like they've been talking about like reworking PVM drop tables.
So there's like whole like PvP discussion going on as well. Like they seem to be so focused on other areas that I think we're probably done with skilling nerfs for a while.
Yeah, so say like if Great Necreal drop table gets nerfed, that's gonna hit like the casual player more than an XP nerf, because they care more about profit than XP anyways. So
yeah, well, and like how they nerf anything ends up like changing. So like if they nerfed Necreals and Dust Devils drop tables, that would be an indirect nerf to main Slayer because it would cost more. But as long as the XP per hour is still the same, like making the money in another place, like Slayer is already a profitable skill if you're sweating, or well, honest, even if you're not, but you can make a few bill during Slayer if you're actually trying.
Probably makes Slayer easier for a lot of actual decent players because there's no world hopping or crashing required. Because it will just empty if there's no GP from next, like so few people will do them.
Yeah.
Like the noobs, they'll go flying.
I don't know. I haven't heard it like discussed. Like before anything gets nerfed, I generally would think the Jagex would bring it up a few times to get feelers, aside from the POH melee meta or method. That was just like a knee-jerk reaction, like panic nerf from my point of view. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's the same kind of panic nerf like the I don't know, remember what it was, but like the Inferno thing where you could bring in like 30 brews or whatever it was.
Oh,
with that crate thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they did that so quick, and then most people who do the Inferno were like, "Yeah, that's probably not a big deal."
Yeah, pretty much.
They've talked a lot about in the past as well with like nerfing the gargoyle drop tables and stuff because when the guard
I haven't
boss
heard
came
that
out,
in a while, but you're right because that's their response to grotesque guardians being garbage in every way.
Yes, exactly. They like I mean the grotesque guardian like boss or whatever was like less money than just doing regular, and that like kind of like brought the question of like should Slayer monsters really be that good? But I don't know. I don't think they'll just like randomly chuck it into an update on a Thursday. They'll say something or poll it or whatever first before they do anything with it.
Yeah, but it's kind of the same. They've been talking about a Nightmare Stone nerf for I don't know how many years now, and
that's literally
still not. Yeah, there's still like no sign of anything about it ever being nerfed.
NMZ, I have the same feeling of Catacombs. It's just like everybody, like every sect of player benefits from NMZ in some way, that no matter how broken it is, I just don't trust that they would ever like want to get rid of it, aside from like level 3s, I guess. But even they need alts.
I know they had originally talked about nerfing NMZ by making it to where you had to go to Lunar Isle to get in, which would have effectively not even been nerf at all. But
yeah, it would make making alts a little more broken.
I don't see them ever touching NMZ more. I think like if they were to nerf it, I think that like the closest thing to a nerf would be like no more 20-minute AFK, maybe like 10-minute or 5-minute or something like that. But I don't think they'll just like actually get rid of the method altogether.
Yeah, the way to do it from my point of view to get rid of like the worst part of NMZ isn't like the DHing and stuff, because if you get rid of that, then like you'll just go DH something else probably. But like changing how the auto retaliate and log out timer works is how you would like resolve it. I just don't think it's going to happen.
What was the idea behind the Lunar Isle move? Was it just to
require more quests, like put some barriers to entry behind the method?
Yeah, they just wanted it to be like a high level, quote unquote, high level like activity, as opposed to just being able to
now
go
you have to
animal.
get 60 mining on all your alts. Like,
Yeah,
that's all it
61
would.
crafting. Whew.
Yeah, the crafting, man, the fucking grind.
Damn.
But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a silly method. It's instanced. It's good XP per hour, but it's been around for so long, I don't really see it leaving.
Nope.
I wouldn't
Agreed.
feel super strongly about it, but maybe that's because I have like 400 mil melees or something.
Yeah, I'm done with NMC. Just nerf it.
Yeah.
Just remove it.
I don't know. I just don't think it'll happen, but
I didn't think swim would ever be touched, but they did that, so I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like how they nerfed swimming, and like as someone who understands the method, like I'm okay with nerfing it. I could see making the argument that it was overtuned, just like the way that they did it of like instead of improving the method and nerfing it at the same time, which is feasible, at least from my point of view. They just like cut XP per hour, which just seems like the shortest path to doing it as opposed to like really thinking about it. I think changing, like having the timers be around or the arrows be around for less time makes a lot more sense, but I've tweeted at JMods and I think they all have me muted by now, so I think it fell on deaf ears. And then
What
last
else?
question
What
regarding
else,
like game
please?
balance. I guess this kind of leaks into the next section about methods. But what method added to old school RS has made getting 200 mil in a skill easier? So whether that's I wouldn't have even considered getting 200 mil before X came out or whatever, or you could look at it in a 200 mil all point of view that like
Yeet.
getting 200 mil all would have been very, very difficult if ZMI never came out. Not a good example because it's gone now, but what methods do you think are the most egregious for that?
Yeah, I think we all agree on this one. Like the most egregious one, and that's Volcanic Mine by far.
Yeah.
Like, I doubt like most people would even consider doing mining if Volcanic Mine didn't exist, because like modeled mine is it's about 4,000 plus hours for 200 mil, which is like an extremely long time to do one skill for most people.
Yeah. Yeah, and blast mining, like, not very intensive, but like I don't think people would want to do blast mining at what, like 65, 70k an hour for all of 200 mil mining.
70.
Like no one was doing it, is my evidence towards that.
You also get crashed by a load of bots, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. Oh yeah, I've watched Cap King kill the bots on stream. That's quality.
Hero.
Yeah, and also blast mine has like no AFK time. It's not intensive, but it's constantly like a rhythm of clicking. While Volcanic is like, I don't remember what it was, like up to 90 seconds AFK or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Which is like stupid in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a little too good in terms of like effort to reward.
I just wish that Volcano was like max of maybe 75k an hour. It just doesn't feel like it's worthy of being like 3/4 of the XP an hour that 4G is when you look at like the intensity of the method.
If it was 75k, I think like half the people would be there, and that's the problem. As Dan said earlier, that there's like a small community that if they mess with it too much, it's just going to kill it off.
I also think I remember when they pulled it, they said that it was going to be like a really intensive method, and you know, like
yeah,
if
they
you weren't
kind of
paying a lot of
backtracked on
attention.
that at one point.
Yeah.
There's
they
a
had
series
this,
of tweets,
chart.
but
yeah, they had this like chart where they compared like the GP, the pet chance for some reason, and then like the click intensity and the XP, and it was like just a few more clicks than Motherload Mine and better XP, but worse money or something, as if that like.
Well, now they said that like part of the difficulty is like the few clicks that you have to do are very important. is like how they phrase it, and like scheduling a team having a level of difficulty associated with it.
Yeah, dude, have you seen the what was like the graphic that they made about it?
Yeah,
Where they
that's what I was
included the
thinking. I
team
forget what
coordination as
JMod it
part of
was.
the difficulty. Like, what the fuck?
It had some word
Scum.
besides difficulty. It was like engagement or something. I don't know.
Yes,
I would have to
that's
dig for the
what it sounds like.
tweets, but
Yeah, high level of engagement. Yeah, the poll blog says, and like people are disagreeing like what high level of in-game engagement means.
yeah.
They probably
Like-
say
like
the same
some-
thing for swim just because
yeah.
you have to spam the chests. They think that's like a high level of engagement because you just have to click every 2
Yeah,
times.
nice or a very high APM method.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
same way like say our rune crafting was called as high effort, and I guess the high effort part is like spam clicking the chisel and the blocks. The rest is just AFKing for 2 minutes at a time.
Well, that's what it used to be. I don't think you AFK for 2 minutes at a time anymore, but
Yeah, like it's not. It can be up to 2 minutes, but
yeah.
it's not like you can do a full inventory every time anymore. But it's still pretty AFK.
Definitely.
I don't know. I've seen a video about somebody doing that. They did the whole inventory.
I don't know if that video is still around, but that's a good video.
Yeah,
I
it
think
is.
you're more likely to get it now that the diaries come out as well because you get like double blocks or whatever.
Yeah,
Like get it all in one rock. I guess that makes sense.
just get lucky, you know.
Yeah. Just like the Wildy altar.
Yeah,
That's a method that doesn't get
one
brought up
way.
too much, but I think it's totally overtuned. Like,
Yep.
how fucking good Wildy altar is like astounds me. Like it literally cuts the
Yeah.
cost in half, and like the XP per hour like barely gets touched.
But they didn't think it would affect skilling because they were like, oh, it'll just be the same XP, but they thought it'd revive PvP, but it's done. It's
Yeah,
done
but
nothing.
it's pretty much dead anyway because everybody uses 2.2k world, which is like completely dead.
And most people who use it just suicide after an event anyway, so the PKs don't give a fuck.
Yeah, the lower level players do that.
Yeah.
The only decent PKs there are there to PK the bad PKs.
Pretty much.
So to go back to the question, as far as getting 200 mil in a specific skill easier, I think that I mean I agree with the volcano, but for me at least, rooftop agility was one of the ones that stood out to me because a lot of methods now that are really AFK involve rooftop agility. I think that 200 mil agility before rooftop was definitely more impressive. I don't even know if anybody even got 200 mil agility before rooftop agility was released.
I don't think there was necessarily even time for that to happen.
Yeah,
Like it was
that's what I'm
added pretty
saying.
early on in the game, which is why it's like
Yeah.
not even that obvious of an answer to this. Because
Yeah.
I was never skilling at a time where rooftops wasn't my option.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Like I was skilling before, like you didn't do the Kandarin course or whatever, the Camelot course or Sears for like to 90, but there was always rooftops there.
yeah. It's been around for a long time, but that was just like one of the ones that stood out. But as far as 200 mil all easier, not so much like for the main, but Gotcha kind of talked about it earlier. But alt methods that have become really good that make spending money not that big of a deal. I think rune dragons have really affected not even just rune dragons alone, but the Slayer drop tables, especially rune dragons, have really made 200 mil all affording it at least a lot easier because, like you said, I mean you can pretty much do a rune dragon through just about anything anymore, and that's just a whole lot of extra money that didn't used to be there.
Yeah, Sins has a
Yeah.
The description on Sins' like tables and Rune Dragons video is like Rune Dragons in every skill in this shit game or something.
Yeah,
That's pretty true.
Yeah, like I'm doing Triatic Fish and Rune Dragons, like no problem right now. And if I had 2,000 hours of still fishing, I would make 4 bill. And like that's another problem that Rune Dragons have doubled in GP in basically 6 months' time since the Rapier came out, and then the Lance back in January or February or what it was.
Yeah, they kind of just said like, "Hey, do you guys want to make more money? Like, how about the Lance? You know?" Which was
pretty
good,
much.
but bad at the same time. I mean, it's just what 400 or 500k an hour more GP per account for having an item that is less expensive than the rapier was.
Yeah, pretty much.
I know it doesn't save a lot of hours or anything, but I wrote down the fucking dwarves at Goldsmith.
Oh, yeah, that
It's
made the
like-
method
yeah.
like much nicer to do. Definitely, you don't
Yeah.
have to pay
I just
some
hate
e-gator
like,
at True BF anymore.
yeah, all the thought processes behind adding the dwarves were just completely screwed. They were just like, oh, shall we remove everything that makes it in any way like not straightforward? And they just completely made it the easiest thing ever. And they added
Because
like
prior
a
to
tiny gold tax to it, like that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
at
60k
all.
an hour or
So
whatever.
tiny.
yeah, I mean prior to like the True BF plans or whatever, I mean it was pretty terrible, honestly. I mean that was back when they would you would like superheat next to the thing, wait for the bars to go, and then go collect. Like that's how slow it was. Now I mean they found out how to instantly do the bars every time, and then that was annoying because you had to include other players, and then people were getting harassed, and yeah, I don't know. I think that it was bad. Oh well.
Well, then it was like rather than fix the method and like make it so that it's not possible to crash someone who's trying to run Blast Furnace, instead of doing that, they just added an NPC that does what was like a player-run business before.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, there's been like so many small optimizations to the method that is.
Oh, and yeah, outside
like,
of
that's been-
dwarves, yeah.
Yeah, that's basically been buffs because first they made it so like players still had to do some rolls in the furnace. I think like
Yeah.
You had to
doing
fix something.
doing the agility
Well-
thing. Like players had to do that, otherwise it would and fix like the pipes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember just having like a hammer on an alt down there. I don't know like what exactly it was doing, but yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and then they removed so you don't have to like click press yes to like put the ores on the conveyor belt, and they also made the withdraw all thing with the space bar.
Yeah.
So, like tiny
It's
things
yeah,
like
it's
that
been an
just affected a lot.
accumulation of a bunch of little tiny quality of life.
Well, there was
things that
one
just made it-
mile-long buff, which was like you now have perfect dwarves. Well, I guess,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
like a bunch of like inch-long buffs alongside that have just made it like one of the easiest, in my opinion, like just pretty boring, like straightforward methods in the game. And it just seems like, I mean, I was against the dwarves at the time just because like my intro to the game was with like BA, which is pretty much like a player-run business in terms of like running leeches and stuff. And the idea of getting rid of that type of interaction between players just seems very anti-MMO, like quintessentially.
Mm-hmm.
One really big thing that isn't actually like a skilling method in the game is third-party clients. Like being able to move your minimap is actually quite a big deal for like mining, and shift-click config is fucking huge. Also, shift anti-drag is really big as well. And
Yeah.
also just being able to zoom in further is really big. Just like a lot of little things that are purely from the client has made specifically mining like disgustingly easier compared to how it used to be.
Yeah, also the static camera, so it doesn't move around all the time.
Yeah, but that was from
I quite
Jagex.
like that.
Like that's, I mean,
Yeah,
I
that
think
was also
most
from
people
Jagex.
would agree that that was like an antiquated anti-botting thing, but
Yeah.
I don't know if I would necessarily agree or like compare that to like a third-party client.
Of course not, but it made it easier. But like, yeah, I still think it was like an actual quality of life update compared to the other things.
Yeah, definitely.
We used to get those.
Yeah, like moving the camera with the middle mouse button is like a huge.
I have no idea
difference.
how I ever played this game without that.
Yeah, like that's probably the biggest quality of life update ever, in my opinion, for this game.
I think it's my favorite. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember doing it with arrow keys at all now.
Or if I tried to like set that up right now, like put my left hand over near the arrow keys, that just feels so strange. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, it really does.
Because it wasn't even like WASD. Like your hand literally just had to be all the way over there. That's wild. Okay, well, that was a good discussion about what methods made 200 mil in the skill easier. That kind of veered off a little bit, but good stuff regardless.
We like the beer.
Just what skilling methods do you enjoy most, and what would you like to try in the future that you haven't had the chance to yet? For some of us, that might mean that a new method has came out since you got 200 mil in a skill or something, or just something that you haven't gotten around to giving a shot.
I enjoy 4G a lot. Sometimes, kind of depends when you ask me. And 1.5 tick ticks is like super underrated. It's actually a really enjoyable method. Just kind of sucks that you kind of want to leave like a lot of XP for redwoods. It's not exactly something that you want to just like smash out.
I'm really looking forward to doing aerial to 200 mil hunter and fishing.
Oh.
Anyways,
Wait,
That's
what?
about it.
crickets.
I thought you were not memeing for a second, then I realized you've been at Barb for years.
Years? Alright, okay.
Yeah, like I enjoy all the tick methods for the gatherers, and I really enjoyed Barge Slayer, even though I think it's very overpowered. It was still a very enjoyable method to do.
I enjoy doing skills that involve interacting with a banker. Well, I've been doing those for a little bit, but I did take a small break from that and do a couple mil Slayer XP a couple weeks ago, and I enjoyed that. So I think I would say I'm looking forward to doing that in the future.
I think it's kind of
banking
died off, but people
interactions.
were doing like skill tier lists a few weeks ago, and it was so cool to like see like other people's thought processes toward like, because there are skills that I like because they allow me to like do whatever I want on an alt or something, and then there are like methods that I legitimately enjoy as like a activity on its own.
Yeah, I think the activity like in the game that I've enjoyed the most has got to be swim, even though I've done like 80 hours of it. It's just really nice, like the decision making part of it just makes it different from most other skilling methods where you don't have to think, you just have to click well.
Yeah, it's a good combination of like, I mean, what the method really boils down to is like just the decision making. Nothing mechanically is that difficult, although there's enough to keep it like somewhat interesting, where somewhat analogous to it is like Brim, but Brim I see as like 100% decision making, and like once you get it down, that's kind of just it. It doesn't seem like that deep, as opposed like when compared to swimming.
Yeah, Brim doesn't change as much as swim, I guess. Like it's the same obstacles, etc.
And then any methods that you haven't done yet that you want to try in the future. I'm generally a fan of like going and trying most metas that come out. So eventually trying to do either like Dolo Lavas or maybe trying it with a runner at some point just to see what it's like. So I have some kind of something to provide to like conversations around it in the future would be interesting. But yeah, I don't know if there's too many other methods in the game that I just like have never been exposed to on this account.
I wish I had the chance to try 2+2 ZMI. I've heard a lot of things about that method and that it's a very, very difficult method, and I thought it would be kind of cool to try, but unfortunately I didn't get the chance.
Yeah, that seems wild to me. Like the idea of doing all of that while also like keeping up with like the people who you're also paying is pretty interesting. I thought it was a very cool method, but yeah, it's gone now. 2+2 Astrals would be similar. I just think it sounds easier.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
definitely. Yeah, I don't really got like any skill that I haven't tried the methods in, except prayer, I guess, because I had like AFK'd my 99 prayer because like ticking back then was absolutely awful. So I guess I'm looking forward to trying the Chaos Altar, but like I hate the wilderness, so we'll see how I feel about it when the time arrives.
Yeah, I think
just
it's a
wanted
pretty
to do
slept on
mining.
method. Like I mean personally I enjoy it. I kind of do like a one that consists of like a few alts and stuff without giving too much away about the strategy, but I thought it was pretty fun when I did 99 prayer on one of my alts with it. So yeah, that's another one that I would like to get back to at some point. It's like Chaos Altar, even though it's pretty OP.
I'm just looking forward to mining once fishing is over. Like, not all the way, just a
Anyways.
big chunk of it.
How are you going to AFK mining at work?
Volcanic. Nice.
Nice. Looking forward to it.
I might just click the granite rocks, but without the herb tar.
Oh.
They take slightly longer, but you get slightly less XP, so it's like pretty balanced.
Yeah, you could use some Acid Soul 2S 2G at work. Okay, and then what are your guys' general thoughts on multi-skilling methods? So methods where you gain XP in more than one skill. Big examples: Driftnet, Aerial, Swimming, Barbfish technically is multi-skilling, although not generally like considered in the same breath.
Bad. They can't balance single skill methods, so they definitely can't balance methods where you're training two skills at once.
Yeah, like I don't mind the concept in itself, but like Jagex are just terrible at balancing when it comes to like every skilling method, to be honest. Like Driftnet fishing was pulled at 40k fishing, and X Hunter, I can't remember the number, and it's like twice the amount, or like almost 2.5 times the amount. Even though like the method itself is pretty aids to set up because you need to like get all those nets or whatever, and you can't buy them. I think. Don't really know. I haven't done the method myself. I just know like the amount of XP you get is way more than it was pulled at. So like they seem quite they seem quite adamant of making the methods very overpowered.
If you're not getting the most XP possible in like thieving, would it discourage you from doing thieving at a multi-skilled method? Like the fact that you gain half of your EHP in two skills, like I could see that being a problem for some people. I mean, swimming specifically, I think people don't want because it also takes away like 50 mil of RD, which people generally value pretty highly.
Yeah, I think most people when they do thieve as well, because people have been so used to knights for so long, they just want to do brain dead left clicking for.
Yeah, or if they would have nerfed swimming harder and PP would have been like, I think that there's like 20 plus skillers that would go to PP immediately if swimming got nerfed, but they just don't want to do it because it's not the absolute best in the game and results in like 0.75 EHP or whatever.
Yeah, their weeks look worse even though they'd be doing the exact same activity, so they won't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And like Plunder is a really good method. Like I enjoy it, but I just don't get why you wouldn't do it just because it's below. Like if that's what you're gonna do eventually, you might as well just do it. Like if you don't want to swim. Although 90% of people who I hear shit on swim have never tried the method.
I agree.
Although you don't need to try a method to say it's overtuned, and I could say, especially before the nerf, that people thought it was OP, but I don't know.
Yeah, like my problem with swimming is like how they handled the method itself, because it was pulled at 30k agility, 110k thieving or something, and then people was testing it and it got way over that, and then they did a second poll where they used those rates from the first poll. No, they used new rates that people were getting now, and those weren't the rates that was from the first poll, and then it passed because it was already in the game. and then they justify saying it's already past the poll, so the rates are fine.
Yeah, I agree. That
makes
felt
no
a
sense
little
to me.
slimy. Yeah. To be fair, like when swimming was immediately released, the arrow was so buggy that chances are the rates that they were proposing were pretty close to accurate. Because originally, in between arrow switches, there was like 5 or 6 seconds of there's no arrow. So by fixing what was an engine error, they made the method way better because you could immediately go to the next place.
Yeah, they wouldn't have tested swim with the buggy arrow though.
I think they would have. I don't.
Do you think? I thought it was caused by something to do with the seaweed farmers or something. So if you think
that's a theory, but yeah, no, I guess it's possible.
Okay.
If you're the only person in the world, like in their like test world or whatever,
yeah,
then maybe they were just bad at the method. But
you'd think if they were testing the method, I know it's Jagex we're talking about, but you'd think if there was suddenly an arrow that just pointed the wrong way for like 10 seconds, they'd just be like,
no, there was no arrow at first, and what I interpreted that as a player was like, this is the time where I'm supposed to like grab some fish and sit in a bubble and regain arrow before next time, which isn't really like how the method plays out anymore. Speaking of which, I'm probably gonna drown.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah, I think it's probably quite a bit to do with testing because Jagex doesn't really have any good reputation with testing, to be honest. Like Volcanic Mine, you should not be able to treat it. People were able to treat it for a month, and the SAR thieving method was called
that was just way over, and the method was just left clicking. Yeah.
People got 350k. So like, how could you have tested anything? Is like twice the amount of XP when it's just clicking on an NPC.
Yeah. Like, that's like mathematically, you could figure out like what the method should be. Like.
Mm-hmm.
I love when they deliberately said that you wouldn't be able to 3-tick the Volk mine. Like they'd taken measures to prevent it happening. People just did herb tar the rock and it.
Well, no, it was herb tar walk click.
Yeah.
Like how you do pure S or 1.5 tick teaks. But like it was specifically called out, and if they had like someone really knowledgeable of all methods in the game, it would have gotten caught. But at least they fixed it. As soon as it became known to them, they fixed it. But yeah.
Question was multi-skilling and stuff.
Well, conversations wonder. It's not a big deal.
Basically, multi-skilling bad, big dumb. Stop releasing it.
Well, it just seems a way to them to get like, if you pulled a new best method and XP per hour, you would have a lot harder time to get it to pass than if you pull a technically best but not best in any one skill method.
Plus, they want to do it like that because they think they'll just get people going there. I guess they don't want to release dead methods.
We definitely don't need another fishing hunter method. Like,
no,
I don't understand why they tried twice. Like, aerial could have just been like a different 2 skills or something.
Yeah, probably no one doing driftnet. That's why.
I've seen some people pre-99 doing it, but I don't see a lot of people post-99 doing either of those methods.
It could have been mining an RC or something nice.
Oh, fuck.
Well, there's Zaya RC for that.
Zaya RC also gives you some crafting in there.
A little bit of crafting XP, yeah.
Nice, safe.
Yeah.
Yep, nice.
Put on the prospector for Zaya RC.
Okay, well, moving on to like a community section, so like just stuff about what's happening in the HLC overall, and then like some personal questions as well. For example, who inspired you to start skilling as opposed to PVMing or a different game mode that's available to the game? This would change depending on if you've always been a skiller or not, obviously.
Yeah, my goal is pretty much always to max. So I never really considered PVM or any other game mode. I created my account like around the time when Iron Man got released, but I still like chose to do a main. But But like the one that made me like look into more efficient methods over time was like Automelody's series on YouTube.
Yeah, I think that
Is that-
is like a pretty common.
I think that's
like-
the big one.
Yeah, his series, his like Road to Max, I think pulled a ton of people into like thinking that way. And then he was more inspired by like, I mean, he definitely liked the old Hexus crew, so Trance and Company.
Mhm.
I think for me it was just mainly because I was shit at PVM.
Yeah,
And I mean, I'm not
It
much
does.
better at skilling, but like, I can do it for longer, I guess.
I was like pretty casual, like playing the game overall, and then I started playing BA, which got me thinking about like, oh, this game could be played efficiently. And then I found Etzk's videos, which got me thinking about skilling, although at the time it was like exclusively like herb runs and farming. And eventually, like from Etzk, I just found like what was the HLC at the time, and Osius was the other big contributing factor to me getting into skilling.
Which one?
Osius the first. So Dalton, Leaf Snick, and Sammy the Skiller being the power gen team.
Beasts.
For me, at least, I don't think that I really have like somebody that I like got me into skilling. What really got me into skilling originally was the release of Achievement Diaries. Like at a basic level, obviously, not too many high level requirements there. But that got me interested in skilling. And then after I finished Achievement Diary, I went and did a lot of PVM. And before the release of Raids 1, they had mentioned that skilling would be like really useful inside Raids 1. So pretty much everybody started skilling again. We had like a general idea of what skills would be useful, so I just started doing those. And by the time I got done with that, I was so close to maxing that figured what the heck might as well just go ahead and max, and I just continued since then.
Yeah, I think achievement diaries were huge for that. And you can like discredit, like I think that can be used to discredit a lot of like skilling updates in the future, that people like skilling was only made easier because people need to get this diary requirement or whatever, and like adding something like 90 herb lore to raids also just like continues to force people to skill who don't want to skill. But diaries to this day I think are one of like the best mid-level goals that you can set. Like if you start your account really and you do like bee gloves to hard diaries, like by the time you finish that, you have a really solid like baseline account.
Yeah, I think Achievement Diary Cave, I mean, like if you have the bare bone minimum stats for everything is like somewhere around just under 2K total.
Yeah.
So I mean that's a really good foundation, which was basically what got me into skilling originally. And then around there I was also like in a few of the Osius clans, so that one. But yeah, that was back a long time ago.
I used to be in like a social clan with a bunch of people. It was called Heater FC. People from Heater that like went on to become like more serious skillers definitely motivated me a lot. Hashtag Heater. Yep.
Yeah, every time I hear of someone come from this like random social clan, like I feel like another puzzle piece like fits together. Like they're secretly controlling the game, because it's just like everyone that I've met from like a whole bunch of different places all started in Heater.
Yeah. He definitely like a huge one was Pazuri, like a huge one. Also Jimmy and House Paran, both really big motivators and like inspirations to me.
Some beasts.
Yeah, I definitely originally knew you as like, I mean, I think of Pizuri as like little, but you were like little Pizuri even, which is funny.
Oh yeah, and Jason, shout out Jason. That's my man's.
Yeah. and icy diamonds, an inspiration to skillers everywhere.
I see.
Yep. The 4K of Twitch. Let's go.
Okay, well, do you have any abnormal gaming habits or activities that you like to do while playing? So I don't mean trance music and Game of Thrones. Do you have anything a little more off the wall that you like to do while playing this great game?
I literally listen to like one song over and over again. Like when I'm listening to music, which isn't very often because I'm mainly just in TeamSpeak, but when I'm listening to music, I tend to listen to like the same one song over and over again on loop.
What's an example of like one song that you would listen to like on repeat, like a trance tune or like some pop song?
I can't listen to trance. I don't know. I'm really like not into it. But yeah, right now it's Dollar Dollar.
Dollar Dollar on repeat for hours.
This week it's All I Want by Blade.
By Blade, okay.
Charlie XCX, yep.
I was expecting like Neon Cat 10 hours or something, but
well, that's what like as soon as people found Lynx's playlist of like what he listened to, and like in the middle of it was like 6 hours of like Boxy singing or something. It's just like, oh wow, this explains a lot. Like,
I don't think I do anything abnormal. People have commented on the fact that I wore jeans for a competition once.
That's so weird. Anyway, I forgot about it. I've only like peripherally heard about that meme, but yeah, like, the fact that you do like it was a 72-hour comp, right? And you were wearing jeans the whole time. That's wild.
I think I've literally got that pair of jeans on right now.
Oh my god,
man, that's wild.
Maybe I should put them on eBay or something.
I don't know if they're worth less or more.
Whoa.
I don't think that I do anything weird or abnormal or anything like that while gaming. The only thing that I try to do is stay hydrated. So drinking a little bit of water. About it. Nothing out of the ordinary.
yeah, same. It's pretty much music and YouTube and series. Not anything abnormal.
Yeah, I stand at my desk occasionally while gaming, which is somewhat abnormal. But
Here
I think
we go.
Like I'm just from the future in this issue. I think like in a few years, like everybody's going to be standing while gaming. Once enough people get blood clots.
Yeah, I need a new desk
If you could recommend me a good standing desk, I'd appreciate that. It'd be more comfortable with the jeans.
Oh god.
Straight legs.
Like diesel jeans. Standing desk.
Jebra boots on.
Yeah. K-Kona. Interesting. Okay, well. We learned some cool things about some people and their weird habits. Did everybody get to say their weird thing if they had one?
Oh, one is that I like always play with a blanket. Like I have to have a blanket on me while I play. Yeah.
Is it always the same one, like a sentimental thing, or like just anything?
There's two.
There's two. Okay.
Yeah.
Is this guy old enough to be in here?
He's got a blankie.
Blankie and Dollar Dollar.
Yeah, an iconic duo.
Moving along.
All right,
I think
cool.
that's it.
So we've got some people that are a little bit newer to Omnia specifically in here, but like a general question that was submitted to us was, how does a new player get involved or noticed by the HLC? I think first of all, like being involved in the community via Twitter is probably like the best way.
Yeah,
yeah, for sure. Definitely.
You've got to not be afraid of the green button as well.
Yeah, the green button is huge.
Something about it, man.
People don't like the green button.
They
a lot
just
of people are afraid, but it helps you a lot if you just retweet people's shit.
Yeah, definitely.
Even the bad achievements sometimes.
And in terms of like skilling,
Third doesn't even know what the green button is.
What the fuck is? Yeah, he's so far gone that he doesn't even know what it is. That's wild.
So afraid of it. He's unaware.
But yeah, like if you
Discord's,
do
like,
some
really
crazy
good
like
way as
record or
well.
something, people are gonna
Yeah.
take notice. CML does
Yeah,
not
records
lie.
are
If you're at the current top of something or start setting 5 minutes or whatever, then
5 minutes like a really easy, well, not really easy way, but they're
I
probably
mean
the
it takes
simplest
6
way.
hours and 5 minutes to do. Just do it, you know.
Yeah.
Yep, just
Yeah, I put micro records on there.
Mitch had like
Like-
20 followers and did the woodcutting one and got like 200 likes, so that popped.
Yeah, or like Paizuri like had just started Twitter and just tweeted some like crazy skilling shit and then blew up.
Yeah, you can like cook a fish on the fire after you light the fire.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah,
You're just
I
doing
didn't know anything
two
of that.
efficient skilling methods at the same time.
yeah.
That almost would make you think that those two methods probably aren't efficient on their own, but I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, it's not long term like Constella says.
Yeah, Blake has a good point about it not being very long term. That's
Because you just can't make.
How do you
GP,
make money
so-
if you can't do it during fire making? and
Yeah,
everything?
exactly.
Like, I
If
don't
you're not
really
making
get
your
it.
money during a 520k per hour skill, like, man, you're just never
Yeah,
gonna have enough to
fucked.
afford any
You're
other
just fucked.
skills. I'm thinking right now, nothing comes to mind.
Nothing.
Good shit.
I think another like factor of that is probably consistency to get noticed. I know a lot of, especially in the past, a lot of higher level clans had kind of like a disclaimer that like even if you didn't meet the requirements, if you were putting up consistent numbers, big weeks or whatever that may be, you
Yeah,
could
like
definitely get like a smiley.
Yeah, a solid month. I mean, Smiley has always came with an asterisk of like, this is the requirement, but feel free to apply
Yeah.
if you feel like you deserve it or whatever.
Yeah. The 99 stees.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's a big one there.
Yeah, he's a gamer.
One
Or it
thing
was just
also
Leaf Snick
is, like,
warming up,
Ooh,
repowering, if you will.
could possibly be it.
Get smileys in Omnia and Solus and join TeamSpeak and like talk to people who are better than you, like more well known, and like learn from them and just like interact with them.
Yeah, or there's like open CCs that like, I mean, even if you're not joining Omnia specifically, like there's communities around that like there's going to be skillers interacting with. And if you're interested in skilling, like people will generally, as a whole, like want to help you get there.
Yeah, for sure.
So I wouldn't be too afraid to join like any of these like not exactly the clan, because you might not have requirements for it, although if you do, like joining a clan is a great way to get involved with DHLC. But just joining these like other communities around skilling is a good way to get to know people.
Find a niche clan and become a gen.
Yeah. And then
Nice.
leave.
Make your own.
Yeah, make your own clan. I mean, honestly, those Hexus 2 guys, I respected the hustle. I didn't really understand the whole meme, but there was a hustle there, and I respected it.
Yep. And like skill
Oh, I just
bangers
banned
really
Mitch
stands
instead
out.
of,
Okay, what the fuck?
I'll unban
Really
you in 1
stands out
sec.
as like a hot new clan.
I think Mitch just got caught up in the crossfire right there.
Yeah, he did. Well, the chat was moving so fast that, you gotta
No one noticed.
pull the trigger. Yeah, Mitch is free, don't worry. Anyway. Anything else about getting noticed by the HLC?
I think we kind of covered all the points there.
Yeah, it's not too difficult, I don't think.
Yeah,
Just
it's pretty straightforward.
Tweet a
Twitter
lot and play the
TeamSpeak.
game.
The green button, more than anything,
I
hit
guess-
that green button.
On the other end, is there like big things that you've seen people that are trying to be involved, and like it just kind of turns you off of that person? Like I
Don't
wouldn't
be
want
a
to.
fucking retard on Twitter.
Yeah,
It's
like I think being involved on Twitter, but like overly edgy or like inflammatory generally, like if you're a dick, people aren't going to want to talk to you. I don't think that's a big
Yeah.
stretch. But yeah, be a nice person. I mean, it's not hard. Like we're all fucking nerds. We're okay with being nerds
Yeah.
with other nerds. And then going along with that, what are some benefits of interacting with the community, and what are some of the negatives?
I think if you're like a really awkward person, or just really like socially unaware, you could definitely become a meme quite easily, like on Twitter and just within the community.
Oh, like that as a negative? Like if you're...
Yeah,
that's true.
Then
People are pretty ruthless about that kind of thing a lot of the time.
Yeah, but you kind of have to do a lot to get to that point. But anyways.
Hashtag lit
and then,
night.
like, TeamSpeak is fucking amazing. TeamSpeak is overpowered, for real.
Yeah, in order, keeping motivated to the game and, like, keeping involved, like, there's just no way that I would have ever, like... I mean, this game is good, and I like it, don't get me wrong, but without, like, voice chats and, like, generally communicating with the community... I don't think anyone would be around as long as they have been, unless they just absolutely love logging into the game, man. Like, I've never met anyone who loves it that much.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like, surrounding yourself with other like-minded people is just a good thing for whatever you're doing, whether it be motivation or whatever. But definitely TeamSpeak is a big pro for, joining a clan or whatever. I think maybe one of the cons could be just drama in general between clans, but that really hasn't been too bad as of late. It seems like. I think it's definitely underweighed. The pros outweigh the cons when it comes to that.
Yeah.
So definitely join a clan if you're thinking about it.
Yeah, the only other like really big negative that I could potentially see is that you kind of... I'm not going to use the term like brainwash, but if you hang around with like-minded, similarly minded people enough, you might start just believing like everything. Like you kind of get groupthink eventually. So like being able to step back and look at a situation and say like, okay, this is what everyone around me is saying, but what do I think about it is very important. Like or if 8 other people have already expressed that opinion, like does the 9th person expressing the opinion really add much to it? And I don't know, like that's just general, like being around the community, a potential negative, but I would definitely agree that pros far outweigh the cons.
Yeah, I definitely do enjoy being part of the elusive group, of the Omnia sub-likers. That's definitely something that I maybe not proud of, but tack that on as a pin, for sure.
I think the only other thing that I could think of is like people who get burnt out after competitions, like they get really involved in comps and they do big hours and they just flatline. Like there's a few people.
Yeah, like, it's unfortunate to see. That comes along with like mainly fantasy. I don't see that too much with like 72-hour comps or whatever. But people who are super motivated and then just drop off the face of the earth after comps, it kind of feels like they were used.
The person who comes to mind is mainly Thurko, to be honest. Like
Thurko's been around for forever, man. Good meme.
He asked me to at him. I did.
Yeah.
Wish granted, man.
Anyways.
I'm trying to think of other like pros. Like motivation's obviously huge. Like a key thing to logging into the game is wanting to play the game, and I think that clans are good at that.
Yeah, I find more than like talking to people as motivation. I find it's more like if you're in a clan with other high level people, just seeing yourself like climb past them and stuff, like doing bigger weeks and stuff. I think that's nice.
Oh yeah, chasing for clan ranks is addictive. That's a good point. I've never been like... I can see why people would say that. I've never been a super like rank focused player, but I can 100% see like if you're getting close to 3 banana, like you're probably gonna start putting in bigger hours just because it feels good to get that bump up in CC, and you get to be above your friends in TS. That's a lot of fun.
Well, I do TeamSpeak icons.
Oh yeah, a lot of people do play for those.
Yeah.
Bro,
that's the best feeling.
Man, I want my pickaxe.
I think that's the only reason Oscar logs in, is so that in another few months he can get on TS, give himself the icon, and hit the fat X button real quick.
That should be the goal of everyone. Get so many icons that people have to click your name
Yeah,
to find out who you are.
Make their
Who is this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny having
It's a
to
lull from Oscar.
Nice.
having to expand TS to see like if it's Karma or Oscar or
Yeah.
something is funny.
I don't think I've seen Karma's name for at least 6 months, man. Like, I'm not making TS bigger, okay? Like,
Yeah,
stop getting 200 mils.
Oh, okay. You
I just
don't
look for the flag's always on the far right. So if it's
Yeah.
Australia and they have a lot of icons, then there's only one.
More than likely, yeah.
Yeah. So going along with this theme of like new players or like unknown players, do you think it's possible for new players to catch up? I guess you could read this question in a few ways, but I would just like catch up as like being seen as a competitive skiller. You could also read this as like catch up to like a competitive rank for 200 mil all. I don't.
Yeah, I think that really depends. Question, like how you're looking at it.
Yeah.
'Cause,
Like,
like,
I mean,
as far
it's
as
definitely
like,
not too late to be known as a skiller. Like, just because there's a group of people
No.
with 4K EHP, like, that doesn't mean you are never going to be one of them.
I would look at Bailey and Blue Bonnet, and that's a fairly simple answer. I think it's
Yeah.
definitely possible, and they've shown.
Yeah, the PVM Exodus has brought in, like, people who are now, like, top 100-ish, like, top 200 definitely, players. If you want to play the game and put in decent hours, like, you're going to get known, and the hours will come. People burn out all the time, so people are liable to be passed.
There's so many zeros on the high scores. Like you could probably get top 500 in a year if you just beasted it from an average PVMer account anyway.
Yeah, and when I saw this question was submitted, I realized like pretty early in like Hexus podcasts, I heard this same question, and the answer that I forget who it was, but the answer that was given was like there's probably someone who's going to be top 10 to 200 Malal who hasn't even logged in for the first time yet.
Yeah.
And that was probably like 3+ years ago that was said. And I definitely think that someone who is going to get top 25 to 200 Malal could conceivably have not logged in yet. Like,
I think it's probably getting a bit close now, but
Yeah, top 10 is pretty much set in stone.
yeah,
Oh,
like I definitely top 10 is
that.
definitely a stretch,
But,
but
like-
top 25, like it's such a fucking long goal that
Yeah, if you
It's-
look at like CML now, EHP ranks 10 to 30. There's only like 5 or 6 people that are like above 50 HP a week. There's like 5 or 6 people that are on 0. So there's like still a lot of time to catch up because it seems like between 8 and 10k HP are like a very solid place for people to lose motivation or burn out.
yeah.
When
Yeah,
you
and
start to get,
there
like,
isn't a
halfway.
point where you're past the point of no return. Like you can burn out at what like Vestfold was, which
Yeah.
I don't mean to call him out. I'm fine with Vestfold, but like people would have considered him a very safe top 10 to 200 Malal for a long time, at least from like, my point of view. And now
I think
it
like
looks pretty doubtful.
Jace, Sean, and Sen's are like one of the few people. Well, some of the few people that I'd even consider safe to 200 mil all now. Like, there's so many.
I'm pretty sure Lynx Titan's gonna get it, man.
Yeah, I'd put the
He
farm
is
on
burnt though. He is flatlined.
That. Yeah,
I don't know.
that's surprising. No, yeah, but I definitely don't think that it's too late to, like we said, I mean, like the longer it goes on, obviously, the harder it would be to even get a top page finish, but just to even get into a clan at this point, I mean, it's definitely not impossible. Even if, like you said, logging in for the first time, you could easily get it within, a year for top 1,000 or top 500, whatever you're really going for. And once you get there, I mean, there is a lot of people that you pass that are on zeros.
Yeah.
So
I just hear that argument like kind of made for like, I'm not going to start playing a main now because people have been playing it for so long. I might as well make a hardcore or an Iron Man or an Ultimate or something. But like those ranks are dead. Not really. Iron Man ranks are pretty alright. But like Ultimate and hardcore is kind of just a weird game mode. But like you could still make a main and be competitive in 2019.
Yeah.
I guess is like the big takeaway.
It depends though. Like, I mean, like, is your goal like top page finish? Like, if it is, maybe then making an Iron Man is, what you do. But I don't know. Like, is there even 25 people actually going for 200 mil all on an Iron Man?
It's
I honestly don't know.
I mean, it's becoming less and less of like a huge goal to like go for, but it's still like there's a lot to go into if you're going to say that you're going to get top 25 or that you're going to get 200 mil at all on an Iron Man.
Yeah. I think you should do it gradually. You shouldn't start like, I'm going to get a top page finish.
Yeah.
Then you're definitely going to burn out if you haven't like not logged in yet. You should start like top 1,000, top 500,
Just
and then
do shit that you like.
move on from there.
See what sticks. So
The EHP just kind of comes. You just log in, play, log out.
clicking.
There it is.
There it is. Sometimes it comes and sometimes it goes.
Yeah, sometimes the rates change, and next thing you know, there it all goes. But I mean, recently, some of us got a little bit of EHP back.
Yeah, that's true.
Nice.
Yeah, I got 5 free last week from the Thief change. Nice.
Very
5?
nice.
Yep.
How much? What's your thieving XP? Like 20 mil?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I got 125. So
yeah, I was gonna say with
I
200 mil, I think you get like 125 or something.
Yeah. Well, Swim is only post 99 still, so it's literally only on the 7 mil XP.
That site's rates are inaccurate.
Yeah.
The Marco quote.
I would not trust that.
Nice. Sticking with community stuff, what do you guys think about? Well, this question was submitted about the rivalry between the top 3 skilling clans. Which I guess we could talk about.
What's the third one?
Yeah, no, exactly. Like that's
the
obvious joke. But Solus and Omnia, what are you guys thinking?
There's not much.
Yeah, that's I don't think there really is much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's died down a lot. But I don't feel like there's any rivalry anymore. Like, it's like mostly just banter now.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely feel like it's more banter, and it feels to me like whenever people have issues with another person, they don't identify that as like, well, I don't like this person, so I don't like the clan that they're in. It's just like, oh, well, him and I don't get along, which is fine. Like Bellig and I, we just natural born enemies, I guess.
Yeah. It's just not as. It's almost just not as interesting as it was before. I don't know if that's a bit.
Oh, I'm fucking tired of it. I'm so glad that like we're in a time of peace, so to speak. It gets so boring so quick, and it's generally like these people who like, at least for me, like if shit gets start bringing up, it's like, hey bro, like change your attitude because you're not representing Omnia right now. You're representing yourself. Like, I don't know. But I got pretty tired of it, but I've always been kind of a go-between a few clans. So
I think when Randy's back this October and Hexus is like top clan in the game again, it should kick back up again, so it'll be interesting.
Q3 2019.
Yep.
Everybody bookmark it.
That'll be something. There will be more to talk about with clan rivalries at that point, probably. It all went south when Randy removed Dan's smiley. Yeah, that's probably true. Or when he cheated in his own competition. I don't know. One of the two.
That might be a factor.
Wasn't that Trix comp?
Oh yeah. No,
it was Ginges. Ginge Bino EHP. Yeah. I don't know. They misspelled his name horribly. They put Hexus on there, but
does the merge
cat on keyboard
that fancy?
It says Hexus, yeah.
That was clearly a misprint. I don't know what. I don't know.
Good stuff. Do you think another serious skilling clan could appear in the next few years at the same level of Solus or Omnia? Why or why not? I would say that the only way I could conceivably see this... Oh, I went to the wrong place. Is if one of the clans did something like very dumb, and then like the Omnia like Hexit or whatever it was called, like when everyone left Texas to join Omnia, that would need to happen again. Like people being so unhappy with like how their clan is going currently that they leave and start a new one. So I could see that happening to either clan, but leadership would have to fuck up way more than they're doing right now.
For sure, and I think that both clans have a really solid staff lineup. I can't see anything like completely retarded happening.
Yeah,
that's what I put. Then we had to like really be dissatisfied with the leadership, but like I feel, especially Omnia, like has handled the change of leadership pretty well, with like no big like protests or anything.
I don't know. I was pretty up in arms when Carrie got Jen, but
they're really just giving it to anyone these days. He won't even host his own podcast.
That's I don't know. No, but
Jen, so I was getting to someone with like 1.9k total or something a few months ago. It was a bit wild.
Oh, I think I do remember hearing about that. I think definitely a new clan could appear. Will it? Pretty unlikely.
Do you think it could happen being, like, I mean, if we're talking a few years from now, like, it could conceivably be fueled by someone who's super into it that we don't even know yet?
I mean, I think, like, if you're talking years down the line, at that point, you'd probably be looking more at, okay, a lot of the people that are currently in leadership right now might be 200 mil all, not even in the community anymore. So the people that are stepping up could step into that area of bad leadership and people wanting to leave. I think that's a possibility.
The other thing that could very easily start two new clans is if Omnia and Solus were for some reason to merge, then I think the logical conclusion of that would be all of a sudden you have Omnia, Solus, and then like the two offshoots of both of those, like the people who didn't want to leave. But that will never happen, hopefully, because it would just be a bad idea. But that's the only other way that I could see clans like really quickly getting made.
I think the only like clan that's gone quite big recently is I can't remember the name of it. That's quite bad. The Iron Man one that phrases
Olympus, also known as Olympia.
Olympia, yeah, either. Yeah, I think they're like the only ones that have gone fairly big recently. But yeah, I don't know. They share members with Omnia and stuff, but I think they just steal people every now and again.
Yeah, I think Olympus is very good for what it is, and it's ran by a lot of people who really care about what they do. So, I have faith in that community. Although, I'm just gonna say, Frazier being at the helm, shit could hit the fan, because he is generally known to allow shit to hit the fan in the past.
I don't think he's ever been known for anything controversial.
Okay, well, in that case, we don't have anything else to talk about with Frazier.
Wait, where's the question about?
Yeah, there was a question submitted. What do you like, Frazier, or something? And I was like, so either Frazier submitted that, which would be kind of funny, or someone who isn't Frazier submitted that, which is almost equally funny. Like,
what do you think of this one man?
Yeah, like I just want to hear everyone's opinion, and I don't know. But we're not going to answer that one.
It's almost as good as the Ardino question.
And then our last question for the podcast, or it's really just a discussion. Summer 2019, there was a valiant but unsuccessful effort to have a long-term team-based skilling competition known as CEHP. What are your guys' overall thoughts on how it went? When did it actually die? And what went wrong?
I think Mitch
Fancy
should talk about this
fucking
one.
cancer. Yep. I don't know how to.
So like
explain
Leafs
it.
Nick comes out and says, "Hey, I want to host fantasy." That's like where it started. Should it have worked then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I
what
think
he
it's-
needed, what broke Leafs Nick was managers like joining and leaving, if I understand it
Yes.
right.
I think when a couple of them, I'm not even gonna say names, dropped like pretty close to before the draft was supposed to happen. I think that was, in my opinion, when it was pretty much over, when there was a scramble to try to get managers,
Yeah.
and then that kind of led to certain managers getting allowed in that maybe shouldn't have been. And then from then on, really, it was just a whole fiasco, basically a series of unfortunate events.
Yeah. And Bailey confirmed Mitch was talking to Carrie. Yeah.
Did anyone
Yeah,
else
that's
confirm that?
That
Yeah, I think-
pace spin. Holy fuck. Oh my
I mean,
god.
I just have no idea. Like, I intentionally stayed pretty ignorant about that section, but it just seemed so beyond ridiculous to me.
I like
like
all
the
the,
Yeah, it was.
all
fucking
the,
pace spin, man. The fucking pace spin. Like,
all
what
the
the
input
fuck?
links were the best bit, I think. Just
Yeah.
Oh my god, man.
copying them into the browser, just like, yep, this
Like,
is
who
nothing.
did anyone actually go through that pace spin, bro? There was
Yeah.
literally 50 fucking images. Like, what the fuck?
I think the thing that was really the most, I guess, ridiculous was kind of like the reason why it ended was like after, fantasy was supposed to be done and Nick gave up on it, and then everybody started sharing their draft boards, and then all of a sudden fantasy was back on, and then everybody now has everybody's draft list,
Yeah.
like, and that was what led to the whole
yeah, no.
Carrie was talking to Bailey or whatever. And then it was like, okay, well, I mean, you voluntarily handed out who you were going to draft under the impression that the whole thing was done. And then
I
now
mean,
that
I
it's
would
back,
never
you're
want to do a
upset.
draft after anyone else saw my draft board. Like, that would be
Yeah.
a single issue vote for me. Like, oh, somebody's seen what I was going to do? Of course I'm not going to draft anymore. But
I don't know.
That entire thing was such a non-issue because what is claimed that happened with like, picks being leaked had zero effect on literally anything at all, and it's just completely retarded. Oh my god! Like,
When all the teams had to vote for who they thought was like their number one opponent, a lot of people didn't even say the Crickets were their number one, and then suddenly everyone seemed to think that they were super overpowered. But yeah, like half of them didn't even say they were their like number one threat in the
like, I just think it was dead before the draft. Like you could say, like, there's so many things that you could point to as like, this is what did it. But I think even before that even happened, like, it was already gone.
I think just it was bad ever since the struggle for managers. Like, as soon as we saw it was super struggling with that, it didn't seem like it was happening to me anyway, but I don't know. When people ask me to be a manager, they're getting fucking desperate.
Yeah, I got asked a few times, and I was like, holy cow, please.
Yeah, it seems like people started taking it way too seriously as well, like compared to.
Even going into it, people were taking this shit like way seriously.
Like, people throw tantrums over like not getting on the team they wanted and not getting with the exact players they wanted. So it's like just a bad, getting into a bad circle all around.
Yeah, like, I think it was just like, well, it ended up not happening, although it was like I don't know. I just imagined like the final version of fantasy was like Weekend at Bernie's, where it's just like Hitty moving the dead guy's arms around as if he was still alive. Like, he's already dead. Like, you don't have to try to convince us. No offense to Hitty, I respect the positivity and the fact that he really did give it his best, but it just wasn't gonna happen.
No. He tried.
Do you think it'll happen again in the future?
Yep.
Wait, what do you mean? Do you mean fantasy?
Will fantasy happen again successfully?
Yeah.
Sorry.
no,
No.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
just because there's such a bad rep around it, I guess. Yeah.
You
But
think
no,
like the taste that it left in its mouth this time is enough that like
Yeah.
nobody's even gonna try to host it again in the future, like next
all
winter
I'm
or
gonna say
something?
is the tea wasn't worth it, and that's facts.
The tea was not worth it.
No.
Yeah, I just think the mentality needs to change. That it's supposed to be for fun and to like make gains. It's not supposed to be like
Yeah.
a life or death competition.
Yeah, there shouldn't
Yeah.
even be talk of espionage or anything. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll happen again. I think like the idea of fantasy, like start to finish, not having any drama or anything like that involved with it, will just never happen
No.
because everybody's trying to get the like the one up on every other team.
Yep.
Like, trying to do different things, and then that can either be viewed as okay, well they put in the effort to do whatever, or it was just a low thing to do to get ahead. Like it's kind of hard to dictate, and then you have one person at the head of it that has to make the decision of should that be allowed, should that not be allowed, did they do this, did they not, and that puts a lot of pressure on that person alone. And pretty much no matter what you do in that situation, you're wrong because you're either going to piss off somebody or piss off the other side. I don't know. I don't think that fantasy could really happen without any drama at all.
What I see potentially going forward is like mini fantasy. So like what we would probably do is like within Omnia run a 3 or 4 team like round robin comp where you only let people in effectively who are like an invite only comp pretty much, where you just make it so that it's like way less impactful, no big prizes, no big anything, just like let's go hard for some weekends or whatever. Like I could see a smaller like scaled down version of it happening in the future, but I don't think it'll ever be what we knew it as again.
We've got May Madness right now. There could be something in between the two.
Yeah, May Madness and then the Olympia comp are both happening right now. It'll be interesting to see how both of those turn out, I think.
Yeah, I kind of like the setup of May Madness. It's like kind of like what you said, where it's a smaller group of things. Although there is a prize pool which incentivizes bad behavior.
It's not huge though.
No.
Well, as long as you have a commissioner that you're confident that if someone's doing something dumb, like you're just gonna ban them, like that's fine.
I do agree though. I think that the smaller competitions or even like the 72-hour comps and stuff that have been done in the past are much more successful and have a much higher chance of just being successful. Like there's less that can really go on. With fantasy, there's a lot of moving parts and people talking.
All you have to do is put people on a team and say go hard, and like that's enough for a large group of skillers. Like it doesn't have to be this like whole thing. You can just say like, hey, Boxstraps fan, you're in a Fortis comp, and you'll do 70 hours and 72 hours or whatever. Like, it doesn't have to be this whole thing. Obesity Boys comps are a really good example of it, and I think like in modern skilling competitions, you could pretty easily look at them as like good examples.
I don't know. I also think that because I do remember, I believe it was the Osius agility comp. That was pretty.
Well, like the top 2 or 3, like with comps like that, it's always like, okay, well, the top 2 people are really going for it.
Yeah. I don't know. I do like the idea of it, though. Like everybody training the same skill.
What was the big Omnia June or something? That there were like 3 people, although I think they're all gone now. Bouncer, Zuntko, and someone else. Ardino, I guess.
Yeah.
No, Ardino was 3rd, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like the idea of it. I think if it in a perfect world, if it ran smoothly and it did what it was supposed to do, bring the community together, everybody's playing RuneScape and doing the purpose of it. It's fun, it's interesting, but as soon as like the competitive edge gets to people's heads, that's when it goes out the window.
Yeah, but it's like you can't make a rule that says like, hey, but don't care about this too much. Like,
Yeah,
that's
no,
never
I
gonna happen.
I agree.
So the only logical conclusion from that is like keep it invite only, I guess. But we'll see. Like only time will tell. It certainly will not be me hosting any such competition in the future.
If there's something a bit more randomized as well, it'd probably be safer because
I've done like randomized team competitions before, and they just never go well in my experience. I don't know if anyone else has. One team usually
just ends up super stacked and everyone else gives up.
Yeah, it just feels like it was RNG whether you won or not. I'm in Ultimate Iron Man Bingo right now, and rather than having a draft like Olympus did, they just had like random teams, which is really cool because I've met like cool people from it that are on the Jostlers. But like it would have been much more strategic and people would have felt like they were playing for something more if they were like picked specifically.
Yeah.
That and like the idea of a bingo comp is just kind of odd in my opinion, but it seems to work for some communities.
It's nice when people band together for a team as well instead of captains picking them, because usually it's the captains trying to like fuck with shit. Like when people sign up together and they're like, hey, me and my 3 friends want to take part and try and do some big hours, that's sort of less goes wrong with that. That's a bit like what Made Madness is, to be honest.
You
just sort of find people that you want to skill with and then you just do it.
Yeah, like the smaller team, big comp kind of thing, I think works pretty well. Like if May Madness was instead just a week, like I think it could also be successful. Instead, it's like a longer drawn out bracket, which is also cool, but
it would work both ways, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, agreed. Looking forward to Team A taking home the 150 mil.
You've had a good start in the seedings, actually.
The seeding, that doesn't determine the winner, it just determines who we play first, you know? The bigger they are, the harder they fall.
Yeah, so you beat one of the We Like Fortnite teams.
Yeah, exactly.
Fortnite.
Yeah. Just don't lose, basically.
Yeah, if you just don't lose. If you play more hours, then you'll probably win.
Yeah, I think that's the case, from what I've heard.
Any other thoughts on fantasy EHP or similar competitions like that going forward or from the past or whatever?
The 48 hours, like, really cool. Fantasy, like, not cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we'll see stuff scaled down in the future.
The problem with trying to restart is that even if it could work in future, I don't think anyone would even want to take the commissioner role now because it was so... Like,
you're just signing up to get so much shit for like 10 weeks straight. Like someone is always going to be mad at you. Like
I think that's more of the issue than whether people would actually want to take part in the comp, which I think they would. I think it's literally finding someone who will commission it.
Yep.
Maybe Brundeen is feeling suicidal enough next year or something.
I think he is always going to be around to support a community event like that. Like he's definitely one of the homies, but in terms of being like the man in charge, decision maker on what's banned and what's not kind of thing, like, oh man, that's just a whole nother level. Like you have to be a little sick to want to do that, I think.
Yeah.
Especially now, after this last shit show. Like you have to sign up like, oh, I could have handled that. Like, holy shit, you're crazy.
I mean, don't make a pace bin, and you're already doing better than our last commissioner.
I mean, if you thought the pace bin was bad, you just didn't read enough of it. I thought it was very well articulated.
So true, so true.
Yeah, I just think this last fantasy left a bad taste in people's mouth. It's gonna just make them not wanna like volunteer.
Yeah, as captains or as commissioner, I could see like the argument for either side. But
yeah, both to be honest.
Yeah.
But they couldn't find enough captains this time, so next time would be.
I mean, unless you do like a 6 captain thing or something, like you just scale it down, and you could potentially do it. But we kind of been over that.
Like I don't know how much work you need to put into like being commissioner or a team captain to know anything about it.
You have to read everything Fraser says, so it's a lot of effort.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's the last topic of discussion that we had for this Omnia podcast. Like to thank everyone for tuning in. I did this crazy thing where I hit the record button before I started streaming, so if you check out youtube.com/DanisOSRS, no spaces or anything, it should be up there in a few hours or so. I'm looking about who we could host, and it looks like Fury Lord RS is the most requested one. I don't know if that's a great idea because he said he wanted to pee on me, but I guess we'll give him a shot.
Sweet.
/raid Fury Lord RS. What could possibly go wrong?
I think this is gonna go great. Yeah.
All right. Thanks everyone for watching.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Mitch is an 8.
Well,